The Girl That Never Was by James Blunt. I've just watched a video, and let's just say it's impacted me quite a bit. I'm sure it's impacted many other people too. Hopefully you'll like my reaction and my analysis. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Dr. Nick Reacts. I'm a psychologist from the UK, and I tend to analyze music videos from a psychological perspective. Today I am going to go for a song by James Blunt called The Girl That Never Was. Now, a bit of background is this. James Blunt's song Monsters reduced me to tears like no other song I've probably ever listened to a while back. It was sung so beautifully, but it was also filmed so beautifully, and the words in it resonated so much with me with respect to father-son relationships. With that in mind, and knowing some of James Blunt's other music, I'm excited but also a little bit scared to watch this video, The Girl That Never Was. I'm sure it's going to be a cracker, and I'll just have to try and hold it together. Okay, let's go for it. I hope you like what I go for.
Darling, I know we talked about it one too many times, how there was something missing in our lives. A little life. So we tried. It was more than just a twinkle in your eye, but some things you just don't get to decide. At least we tried. The first casualty of life is a plan. When I look back, I'm not even sure that we were thinking. Somewhere she's probably dancing with her blonde hair falling like ribbons on her shoulders, just like we always saw. Bright eyes spinning in circles in the sunlight. Darling, we tried, but now it's over. We had it all and then we lost the girl that never was. If I could say a million words to take away the pain, what kills me is you're trying to take the blame. You're not to blame. I'll never say I told you so, but sad I thought the words. Tried drowning you in happiness, I only make it worse. We never should have picked a name, cause now she has a face, and now no matter what we do, no one will take her place. Somewhere she's probably dancing with her blonde hair falling like ribbons on her shoulders, just like we always saw. Bright eyes spinning in circles in the sunlight. Darling, we tried, but now it's over. We had it all and then we lost the girl that never was. I know we'll never know you. I know we'll never hold you. I never got to show you my love. 'Cause somewhere you're probably dancing with your blonde hair falling like ribbons on your shoulders, just like we always saw. Bright eyes spinning in circles in the sunlight. Darling, we tried, but now it's over. We had it all and then we lost the girl that never was.
I thought it was going to be about that. The Girl That Never Was. I was just hoping it wasn't about that. I was hoping it was going to be like a love song, you know, a song about losing someone that you love, like a romantic partner and stuff. And I was really hoping it wasn't that. But it was that. I mean, first of all, how brave to put that into a song and to show people that that vulnerability, and to show like the experiences of the different characters that are involved there, right? You know, the experience from his perspective, the experience from his partner's perspective, the experience from the daughter that never was perspective. It's just really vulnerable to put something like that out there. But I think that the best music isn't the music, this aren't the lyrics that are written tokenistically. I think they're the lyrics that are real and true about like what it is to be human and what some human experiences are really like. This like when you I feel like you bounce through life knowing that kids happen, knowing that kids come into the world. And then when you get pregnant for the first time, you realize how mind-boggling it is. You know, that a human grows inside another human and has to come out. And then as soon as you get your head around how mind-boggling it is, you start to understand how miscarriages happen, because it's a really complex biological process. But not many people are really talking about it. So like, you know, myself and my partner, I think we've had 2 miscarriages. And so when I watch a video like that, of course, it maps on so well to our experience. It's like the experience of sort of like being excited as a couple and making plans as a couple, and sort of and you know, going through sort of like the whole process of buying little shoes and setting up a little bedroom and thinking about names and all of the excitement of that, and then all of the sort of the loneliness and the loss that comes afterwards, the sat in a room by yourself just trying to process it. And I think it's different for a man and for a woman. I think, you know, especially for a man that hasn't had a child, you've got no frame of reference for what a child is really. And so it feels like you're not quite as connected to the little person as your partner is, when it's grown in their body and they feel that real connection. So the sense of loss, at least from my perspective, didn't feel as deep or as large as it did for my wife. And then what happens is the man steps in, and James Blunt used these words, he drowned her in happiness. A man steps in to save, to protect, and they find that no amount of words can change the pain. And this is so true to my experience. It feels like we try to sort of like use words to make ourselves feel better in situations where words don't matter anymore. And so then you find yourself in this place where you've got to figure out a way to carry your pain with you and to keep going. And that's, you know, essentially what lots of people do. I just want to linger on the idea of like, nobody really talks about it. I wonder what the statistics are on miscarriages and how common they are for people. I think that like, if we knew that, we wouldn't go so quickly to self-blame. He said that his partner blames herself. But what if his partner knew, no, this happens an awful lot for an awful lot of people, and it's just because it's a really complex biological process. And actually the only thing in your control, he talked about this, was taking the decision to try. And that's what they did, took the decision to try, and it didn't work out, and that was out of their control. But not because there was any major biological frailty or blame to be had there, just because like these things sort of happen. And so I think that like, when these things happen, then being able to accept the pain and also be able to move on together is what the real trick is. This thing happened to a really good friend of mine like a month ago or something, and when I saw him, it's devastating to see people that you care about experience this type of loss, to experience this loss of like the hope, this loss of like this future that never happens. And you know, I want to be able to silver line it with words, but I'm really careful not to, because I really don't think that they work a whole lot. And so most of my approach in that situation is just to go, mate, I know it hurts like hell, just try to keep going. You know, try to show up now in a way that in the future you can be proud of, and that can be being supportive for your partner. It can be taking part in self-care activities. It can be you know, all sorts of things. I like how the chorus of the song was like somewhere or somehow or something like this, and picturing her, you know, in fields with like these bright eyes and this blonde hair and stuff. And I think that the function of that, the function of telling ourselves that, is comfort. I think we use it to sort of like shield ourselves from the pain just a little bit. You know, is there something more comforted about thinking they never made it here, and he said, I'm never going to be able to hold you. There's something about having a child and holding them, because you see it as your job to protect them. Never going to be able to hold you, but there's some comfort in knowing you're in heaven or somewhere else, not on this planet, running through fields with your blonde hair, just living your life, and living your life full of joy. And I think we tell ourselves that just to make ourselves feel better, even if we don't even believe in an afterlife or all that sort of stuff. And so I guess words got him somewhere. They provided some comfort, but the pain of it is just, it's not something that can be changed with words. And like part of the work that I do with people is to help them to stop using words to try to change the pain, and just to help them to start to have the pain and know that it's fine for it to be there, and it represents, you know, the flip side of love, and that they can still continue to live like meaningful lives in the presence of that pain. And in fact, they might even be able to be better as a result of the pain. You know, I know that like I'm better as a result of that pain, because when other people talk to me about this sort of stuff, I really get it, and it helps me to be there with them in a better way, you know. And so yeah, I mean, I start to tear up there when thinking about my my mate, and like some of my own experiences with my wife, and sort of some of the distance that sometimes happens in those situations, and trying to recover from that. And yeah, my heart bleeds for James Blunt and his wife. I assume he wrote the song, and it was about his experiences. And well done to them for writing about it and putting it out there, because it just feels like this thing that could be talked about more and could be normalized more. Thanks for watching the video. It was a bit of a sad one after all, but also like the best music is the music that's real, and that's definitely what that song was, raw and real and authentic. Hope you like what I went for, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, you know, it's just, I think it's different. You know, the pain of it, especially from a personal perspective, is different when you go on to have kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a sense of, you lose the sense of loss of the kids that you've lost when other kids have stepped into the space. Do you know what I mean? So there's a part of you that holds the sadness, but like you move on real quickly. Whereas like for people out there that have multiple miscarriages and multiple issues with this, and then never end up having children, that it could so easily become like the defining feature of their life.
Yeah.
That loss and that sense of not being able to be a parent and all stuff. And so like, you know, it's really such a heartbreaking thing, kids, and the inability to have them and stuff, you know. So it's such a head, yeah, it's sort of like, it was an emotional thing to watch, you know.
And it's almost like it feels like it's like for people that have had multiple miscarriages, it just feels like compounded failure. Every time
Yeah.
is just a reaffirmation of why the last one, even though there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
And it's that thing where we always say, well, in science they say energy is never destroyed. So what I thought with that is that in the beginning you're very happy, you're very hopeful,
Yeah.
you're very
Yeah.
not ambitious, but you're looking forward to the future of what can be with the child that you're going to have.
Yeah.
And then the miscarriage happens, and the happiness doesn't get destroyed; it just gets changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is then changed into sadness. It is changed into grief and self-doubt, and you do blame yourself. And it's a natural thing because there's that in between of I must have done something. Because we always believe we can do something to
it's about
change
control.
something
It's
for
about
the
control.
better.
Yeah. Sometimes people would rather believe that they did something wrong because at least they were in control. You know?
And conversely, it's the other way. I must have been in control for it to have gone wrong.
And therefore it's my fault. Yeah, exactly.
It's that yin and yang.
Whereas it's a hard thing to accept. There are some things we can't control. And that's okay. And we just got to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Hard one.
Yeah. Good for him though for putting it out there. He seems like a good bloke, James Blunt. Everything that I've ever seen of him, I've always just thought he seems like a decent bloke.
Yeah. I think he went through a period when he first started out. He was great, and then I think he went through personal troubles with being shot into fame. I think that didn't help him. Coping with that. You either embrace it or you go the other way. I think he went one way, but he's come back, and the artist that he is today, I really enjoy listening to his stuff and watching his music, and because everything is simple but grounded in reality, that I can